Thank you so much for joining today, and I'm looking forward to our conversation.
Thank you very much, Harris, for having me. It will be interesting.
Yes, indeed. Uh, Henning, you've been really writing a lot about pivotal edge mindset and the book that you've. So, first of all, let's talk a little bit about your book, Pivotal Edge.
Yeah. So uh, it started out some years back where I coached a leader that felt stuck, and that kind of sparked the idea that I could take all the experiences I have as a leader and from using coaching
Mm-hmm.
and try to capture that into a book that would enable everybody to take a good look on their career. So the book I have behind me, it's basically a hands-on do-it-yourself book that you can go through my process, my framework, and then at the end, if you put in the work, you will have control of your career. And the good thing is you can use the book creatively as well. So if you are thinking about, for example, stepping into leadership, you can use some of the reflection questions and just change them to focus on leadership instead. If you want, I can give you an example.
Sure, sure.
Yeah. So one of the questions to start people off with the book is, what specific outcomes do I hope to achieve by rethinking my career? And you can then twist it into, what specific outcomes do I hope to achieve by stepping into leadership? And then start thinking about, what is it that you want to do if you become a leader?
So that's the second question, right?
That's the first question. Then how ready am I to explore my potential for leadership from new angles? So you might already taste a bit about leadership, but if you want to build a leadership career, get some new perspectives on, and what hesitations might hold me back. So that's the second question. And the third, what has kept me from examining these opportunities within leadership before, and how could a coach eventually support me? And it's not to be dependent on a coach. It's just, if you get stuck during your process, then a coach might be able to help you get unstuck or fast track your thinking. So that's the kickoff, and then the book basically takes you through different areas that affects your career. But if you look at it more holistically, then you will notice it also affects you if you want to become a leader.
And tell me uh, what does pivotal edge mean to you? I mean, why did you choose the title Pivotal Edge?
Pivotal edge is because there's a lot of competition today, and the world is constantly changing. So the pivotal edge is your edge towards, so your specific difference. What can you add that makes you different or better or more suited for a given situation than those you are competing with? I mean, most jobs today have somewhere between 100 and 1,000 applicants, right? So if you want to become a leader and follow a career through a series of different positions, you will have significant competition
Right.
to get these opportunities. So it's all about you understanding, what are you bringing to the table, where do you want to grow, and where can that take you? And once you are conscious about that, you are driving your career, whether it's within leadership or something else. So from the Pivotal Edge book, behind that is the Pivotal Edge mindset, which is basically 10 rules or principles that I use and that I try to share with others, as it will benefit both their
Okay.
professional life, but
And
also
what are
their
those?
personal development. Yep. The first one is, own your choices. And that's because you have to shape your career, or anything that you invest yourself in. You should shape it, and you have to take responsibility for where it goes next. So that's the first rule. then you should seek clarity over comfort. I mean, nothing good comes in the comfort zone. It's something we're used to. If you want something, you change. To change, you have to push for it and not just settle for with the things you know. The third rule, that's progress beats perfection. I think as human beings, we want things to be perfect, but reality is it will never be. And if you keep trying to
Right.
make it perfect, you will never start the journey. So it's better to get started and then improve as you go, which is basic agile thinking that
True.
is, I think, the driving factor of modern business worlds. The fourth rule is adapt, don't stagnate. And that's because with a world that changes much faster than it did 100 years ago, you can't expect that next month necessarily brings you the same challenges or the same opportunities. So you have to
Right.
learn to embrace the fact that change is constant. Then confidence is built, it's not given. So I can't give you the
Right.
gift of confidence. It's something you have to build yourself. And it's a matter of being aware of your small wins as well. We're very good as human beings. We're very good at celebrating the big things, but most people, even those that we use as lighthouses for some people we idolize, they made a lot of small
Right.
steps along the way that at some point turned big or turned you big. So celebrate the small wins, and you will build your confidence. The sixth rule is your value is non-negotiable. We can all have doubts about our own capabilities, but it's mostly when we
Right.
measure ourselves against someone else. But it's not necessarily possible to measure yourself against someone else. So what I'm preaching is lean into that what you represent is good enough, and then find your way how to utilize your own value instead of just accepting
Right.
others' measurement. So that means setting some boundaries sometimes. Opportunities, they do not knock on your door by themselves. They are built. So, and I think we all have experienced at some point where some opportunity just comes out of thin air, and we feel lucky. But reality is that this normally something behind,
Right.
something you did before led to that moment. So you might not be fully conscious about everything, but the more conscious you are about what opportunities you want,
Right.
the higher the probability that you will get the opportunities. And then network with purpose. And that's because a lot of people, they don't
Right.
talk to other people before they need help. But if you constantly work with your network and focus on expanding your circle of people you know and know of, and start offering something without expecting something in return, then
Right.
you will have a network that can help you when you need help. And my personal favorite, and I have wondered why I actually put it as the ninth one, but the
True.
personal favorite is failure is feedback. So there's a lot of focus on not failing, but all groundbreaking changes
Right.
in our history comes from some sort of failure. So when we fail, we should look at what's the feedback in the fail, what went wrong, and learn from that.
Right.
So failure is very important feedback. And then the last rule that I think we should focus a lot more on, maybe especially within leadership, is that reflection builds character. You can't go on autopilot if you want to be a great leader. You have to reflect about what you're doing, what people around you are doing, and that will build your profile, for example, as a leader. So that's the pivotal mindset.
Mm.
It's not written directly in the book, but
And what you
it's
said,
in everything of the book.
failure is feedback. I believe that there's no failure; it's only feedback, right? I mean, for me, when when you all the experiences of life either would have something for you as a failure or a success, and both of them lead to some learning. And that learning is the feedback. So I think if we should really
Yeah,
approach all those events um as learnings and as yeah. um, I like that one. I mean, the one which is your favorite too. Even I practice that personally. So thank you for sharing. And so tell me, so that's a mindset, right? That's not in the book, but the book is kind of indirectly talks about all of that. Uh, how does it relate to leadership? All these 10 mindsets that you're talking
it's
about.
very much about
Hmm.
being conscious about everything you do, because when you're in a leadership position, you
Right.
have a great responsibility, and you also, of course, have an amount of power. And
Hmm.
the discussion about responsibility versus power, where we maybe touch as well. But what I'm hoping with the mindsets and sharing it is that if we get into this as leaders, reflecting on things we do, owning our choices. I mean, one of the things that you can ask any great leader about
Hmm.
is, have you made any mistakes? And they will say yes. And what you will see from 100% of them is they have owned their mistakes just as well as they have owned their successes. So we do
Hmm.
things as leaders that has a
Hmm.
consequence. Sometimes it's a consequence that we need, and
Right.
sometimes it's a consequence we maybe didn't foresee. But going through having these things personally as a leader, and I'm sure if you asked any of the teams I've had, they will say
Hmm.
sometimes I prioritize perfection over progress. So trying to
Hmm.
make the right decision delayed my decision, where a faster decision would have been beneficial. It
But
might have required more iterations
right.
to land where we wanted, but the team would have felt better. So having
Hmm.
these different rules or principles in your leadership will
Right.
in my
So
view,
it's more of a
uh,
mindset for
make
you
you
to
a better
be
leader.
an effective leader. And you did say that we let's touch upon what is
Yeah,
power versus responsibility for leader.
yeah, yeah. So especially when I talk to seasoned leaders, they grew up in an environment where becoming a leader
Hmm.
was about getting the power. And as the world has developed, leadership has moved much
Hmm.
more into, you have a
Hmm.
responsibility. You have a team of people, and
Right.
it's your responsibility to help them succeed. It's not, in the old days, it was the leader, or very often called the manager, gave some orders and
Hmm.
everybody had to
Hmm.
follow them, and they might not be the right ones.
Right.
And today it's more about facilitating that your
Hmm.
experts can do their best work. So that's a responsibility, and you have a responsibility for their
Hmm.
well-being, for their opportunity to develop, for giving them challenges that also make
Hmm.
them ready for other parts of the business, because business changes all the time. So what we're doing today, even as leaders, might not
Hmm.
be
Hmm.
what
And
we need to do
tell me,
in just a year
how
or
do you
two.
think that this shift of power versus uh, responsibility has come about?
I think
Hmm.
in the big picture, we are still struggling because
Hmm.
companies needs results, and most leaders are still promoted
Hmm.
based on their performance in their prior role. So where they might have been more doers,
Hmm.
fixers, great at a skill
Hmm.
set, they are elevated into leadership and are expected to give the same
Hmm.
magic. And a lot of companies are not actually giving people
Hmm.
leadership education. And you're just expected that you can transform your qualities from being the doer into suddenly having a wider view on leading people and so on. So I think we still struggle in understanding that it's more about responsibility than
Right.
achieving a power to make things happen. And I think the world is talking about it, but we still see most leaders being promoted based on performance and not
And that
necessarily
kind
leadership
of
skills.
then creates a trouble for organization, because the people who are promoted are not really the leaders for the team, but they're the good team player. Um, and then how do you really work with such
Yeah.
situations in the organization when you see a leader already promoted?
I've been in different organizations, and I've worked with people from different organizations as a coach. And what I see is more companies start to say, okay, this is the starting point. We have a leader. We might have some challenges, maybe attrition in the team is too high, or there's conflict and so on. Then they start focusing in on maybe even hiring a coach to help on it, to zoom in on what is the real challenge. So what would make it possible for making the mindset shift to feel enabled as a leader? Because I think the big step for a leader is embracing the fact that now I am in a position where it's not about my performance, but it's about how can I help the team perform steady and constant improve it. Make sure that the dynamics of a team grows as the challenges change.
Situation.
I'll say both as you prepare to become a leader, but also when you are in the position and you might be struggling, then having a mentor is key. Everybody should have a mentor, or even more. A mentor, you should pick a mentor focused on what is it you want to learn or improve. So someone with that experience becomes your mentor. While I was in IBM, I had 3 mentors, more or less in parallel, within different areas that I wanted and needed to grow on. And then using a coach, I would say that's more of a selfish, because it's about working with your own thinking. How do I utilize all these things? So what I've been doing myself is, when I had a meeting with my mentor, one of my mentors, then I would follow it up with a meeting with one of my coaches to kind of get a fast track reflection of the mentoring. But mentoring is a strong tool if a company wants to help a leader succeed, as well as
Okay.
coaching.
And tell me then,
Yeah.
how do you define mentoring for leaders?
So mentoring for leaders, that's about you need some perspectives and some experiences that someone else, hopefully one that you respect, one then a person you would like to become like, so you can have talks, discussions where you can benefit from all the experience that that person holds. A mentor in leadership will typically also have a network of people that can be relevant for you growing, and so you can be put in contact with people that could give you specific knowledge on specific areas. But most important is not to pick a mentor that is not someone you want to be like, because you
Right.
want to grow yourself, and the mentor is to help you on that journey growing, not just to give you all the answers. A mentor is not handling everything for you. You will drive the relationship. You will schedule your mentor. You will bring what do we need to talk about, and of course the mentor will spice it up with things that the person knows is
and
relevant for
you
you.
kind of learn quicker because somebody else has that experience, so you just learn through their experiences, and not get into those failures or
Yeah,
those experiences which are okay. Okay. And tell me. Hmm,
yeah, and you might not avoid
hmm,
having to learn it on your own body, but you will
hmm,
be prepared differently because you talk to someone that lived
hmm,
through a scenario. So when you experience it, you will have an
hmm.
opportunity to have a different approach than
Right,
if it
right.
was a complete
And I
surprise.
think it's always good to have a mentor to learn from experiences, not necessarily do exactly the same thing, because everybody has got their own
Exactly.
um, unique circumstances. But I think listening and understanding others' experiences just expands your horizon of, or your choices, for decision making. Hmm,
Yeah,
hmm. And
absolutely. I totally
tell
agree.
me, I mean, you work with a lot of leaders as a mentor as well, and if you do, then how do you work as a mentor?
So I've worked with many leaders, both aspiring leaders, but also executives. And that was a special experience to be a mentor of an executive that, from my perspective, achieved so much more than I did at that time. But as a mentor, it's about bringing challenge into you. You want
Mm,
to challenge the status quo. You want to help the
mm,
person get different perspectives and help them make decisions on what's
mm,
important right now. So I would normally have a talk about
mm,
what's the big goal that they want to achieve from the mentoring, and what are things that you want to
mm,
achieve along the way, so we have some context. And there's a good chance, because it frequently do,
mm.
that some of it changes, but not having a direction for the mentoring to begin with will make it difficult
Right.
to achieve progress. And again, the
Mm,
mentee needs to drive the progress. And as a mentor, I will contribute with all my experience and all the things, because that's, I think, is also important. Sometimes it's important to
mm,
talk about the challenges and
mm,
where I didn't even succeed, but just knowing that this happened, and somehow I managed to work out a
mm,
situation even though I didn't have
mm, mm, mm.
everything within
It's
myself.
kind of more courage as well, right? It gives you more courage to, yeah. And go ahead, sorry. Yeah.
So, so mentoring
Mm,
is a key element for
mm, mm,
progressing your leadership. So if you
mm,
constantly want to improve
mm,
yourself as a leader, then a
mm,
mentor is
and tell me,
absolutely
uh,
necessary.
as a mentor, what could be some of the mistakes that mentor can do in a relationship with the leader?
I think it's the human mistake number one.
Hmm,
Just like with kids, right? You want them to succeed so
hmm,
much that you take away the hassle, but you cannot
hmm,
grow just from listening. So you cannot give all the answers. So you can support, you can give perspective, but you should try not to give
hmm,
solutions directly, because then there will be no reflection, and most
hmm,
importantly, there will be no ownership. If you haven't thought out the way to go, you will feel less
hmm,
ownership
hmm,
of
hmm.
actually making it
It's a
work.
very subtle difference between sharing as a mentor and still creating a reflective space in a mentoring conversation. There's a very thin line, I would say, right?
Yeah,
In that, yeah. Hmm,
very thin. And you could say that the difference
hmm,
between the mentor and the coach per definition, is that the mentor brings experience as an ingredient, where the
hmm,
coach
hmm,
facilitate your thinking. It's a separate discussion whether a coach sometimes
hmm,
should help you problem solve. but that, I think that's the thin line there as well. So there's a thin line between mentor and mentee to not prescribe too much, create the space, just as a coach will walk a thin line to not direct your thinking, but
And for me,
facilitate your own
mentoring is
pace.
not really about prescribing, it is still about describing for people. And
Yeah,
that description will
yeah,
allow people to make a choice.
yeah. I mean, and it's just like if you read a good book, the author would have wanted you to have a specific experience, but you might pick out something entirely different. And that's still a success for
Right.
the author because you got the experience. And I think that's the goal for a mentor as well, to describe with as much detail that is not a prescription, but that allows your mentee to pick the bits that make sense and work with that
Right.
and make them
Right.
make it your own.
And tell me, so when you work with these leaders, as a coach, as a mentor, how does your intervention work? On pivotal the edge mindset. I mean, you of course mentor and coach people on this mindset, right? How does this whole process work?
It once we have a view of what they want to achieve, and if there are some milestones along the way, then my role as a mentor is and as a coach is to help them keep the pace. So handle when something becomes scary, or handle when something becomes uncomfortable, because you cannot succeed if you I'm not Eastern oriented, but if you look at yin and yang, that's a balance. There's a light and a dark, and it's like that in everything. So you cannot just focus on your success, because if you don't understand the negative side, you won't
Right.
even enjoy the success as much. So you my role is to challenge the mentee to get the different perspectives, and from that make choices that either accelerates the development, or say, oh, I need something else, I have a new topic that I need to clarify with myself. And then we basically go through, okay, so these were the goals. Are there any of these goals that are no longer relevant or should have a lower priority? And then we can add to it. And then not making it like a buffet.
Right.
You shouldn't have too much to choose from, because
Right.
you won't execute of anything then. So basically, I think you hinted at it as well. I should
Okay.
facilitate action, and that's in the mindset: ownership, clarity, progress. That's the thing that a mentor or a
So
coach
when
should
you, of
facilitate.
course, you look at you assess the situation and you look at all the conditions at the moment, and then you start the intervention. Do you notice that there are leaders who are not really ready and not don't want to really make a shift or a change, and you still are working with them?
Yeah, because what I've seen is that some leaders are told by their leader something
Right.
needs to happen. You are not performing like we want you to. The results are not. You are not keeping your SLAs, your KPIs, and all these things. So something needs to happen, and you should
Okay.
start out by finding a mentor, or might even get you. You should work with a coach, and so
Right.
it's not their own decision. So when you have that dialogue, then they will be in I don't need this mode. It's just something that I'm doing because my boss is telling me. And then, of course, as a mentor, I shouldn't force people to do it. But then I take the approach, okay, so given the situation that you've been told that you
Mm.
need mentoring or you need a coach, how can we make it so
Mm.
you get the most value for this? Because your boss will expect a change, and then try to dig into where is it they are not seeing the world the same way
Right.
as their boss, and then start work through that. And once we do that, then I'll say I haven't
Mm.
had a scenario yet where it didn't ship the focus from
Mm.
negativity into opportunity, and then you can actually start working. Uh, so it's also very much about
Mm.
hurt ego. If you're
Mm.
told, if you're doing your best in your daily work, and then you're told that it's not working, it's not enough,
Right.
then your
Right.
ego is normally hurt. And I thought I did everything they wanted from me,
Mm.
and getting to a position. Okay,
Mm.
so I didn't like the message, but how can I
Right.
own the journey from here? How can I
Mm.
achieve what they actually want from me? And sometimes it's as simple as I prep a person to go back to the boss and say, okay, I had some time, I've worked with a mentor, or I worked with a coach. So what is it exactly
Mm.
that you have been missing? Because I need something more specific so I know I have a
Mm.
chance of
Mm.
being successful in meeting your
Mm.
expectations.
So it's
And
really
then the
about
journey starts.
you helping the client see it differently, and also speaking to their leader to understand
Yeah,
the expectations. Right. Mm. And then once that is
yeah,
aligned, then you move on with the. Is there a specific framework you follow when you're coaching or mentoring these leaders using the pivotal edge mindset
yeah,
work?
yeah. I have my dimensional breakthrough framework that is touching the different areas around strengths and weaknesses and values, and what I want to do and what I don't want to do, and how does this influence
Mm.
the core of me, the core of purpose, and core of challenge. It's about how can we identify how do I grow when
Mm.
I go through this. How can I grow?
Mm.
What's vital to me? What can I live with? Because we all have to make smaller or larger sacrifices as we develop. But there's some of them that are no
Mm.
do's. I just can't do it. And then you have to realize. So it can mean that sometimes you have to change your scenery. It might mean that the value set you are living under, you actually are not performing because you're trying to
Mm.
do someone else's values. So that's sometimes the outcome of going through a mentoring or coaching, is that you're simply not the best
Mm.
fit for the situation. Doesn't mean that you can't be the best fit for
Mm.
another situation in the same company, but sometimes it means you have to shift company
Mm.
to get a match
Mm.
on your values and your
And what do
kind
you
of
mean when you
challenges you
say
want. So
you're trying to do others' value and not your value?
so let's say that
Hmm.
one of your strong
Hmm.
values is your integrity, and then your boss keep telling you you need to cross some lines so we can get this
Mm-hmm.
sale, and then we want to do our work, but if you are high on integrity and you are asked
Mm-hmm.
just straight saying cheat, then your
Right.
integrity will suffer, because it will hurt your own brand. Once you get
Hmm.
the stamp from someone
Hmm.
internally or externally that you can't be trusted, then your integrity is gone. So if you are
Hmm.
in an environment where you are asked to break your integrity, then you are working someone else's
Hmm.
values
Hmm.
for as long as you stay in
Okay.
that. I'm not saying that companies generally
Hmm.
want you to be a liar or cheater, but there will be scenarios where end of the quarter, you need to go the extra mile to make sure that
Mm,
we sign this deal and so on. So I'm not saying it's defining the companies, but you, if you
mm,
get in that scenario too many times,
mm.
then you
And
will hurt
it's
if
just
it's
about the
not your own
pressure of
value.
from the organization. Sometimes leaders tend to find out some shortcuts and short ways to get there, and in order to do that, um, yeah. Mm. All right. So, uh, Hanning, I really appreciate your time today and you sharing your wisdom around the book and the pivotal edge mindset you spoke about. If someone is interested in learning more about your work and work with you as a coach, where can they find you? What's the best way to reach out to you?
I think the best way is
Okay.
connecting with me on LinkedIn, because there
Mm,
I'm doing some posts on and off, and there are links to my book website and to my own website, and then connect there also, because I'm on a mission
mm,
to help
mm,
1 million people improve their careers. It doesn't mean that I have to be hands on with all of them,
mm,
but through what I do, uh, writing books, making posts,
mm,
being in a podcast like yours, and so on. That's a
mm.
way to help people get different perspectives. So LinkedIn is a good place to start. If they just want to dig right into the book to get an
Okay.
idea about it, it's on Amazon, and my website pivotledge.me has all the buying links for it, where you can also read an
Great. So we're going
extract
to post
of the
a
book.
link of your LinkedIn and, of course, the book website and your website link as well in our description of the show. Any advice that you have finally for the new leaders who are taking up the leadership role before we call it off for today?
Yes, I would say
Mm,
listen more than you speak, because if you will most likely, if you're a new leader, you will most likely be in a team where the people have been
mm,
doing what they're doing for a long time, and coming in and wanting to be the expert, which I tried when I was first appointed. I was very experienced within the area of the team that I took over, and that will block your people from doing their best work. So listen more, ask more
mm,
questions, be a little coach like. So instead of trying to show your brilliance, then
mm,
listen and enable your team. So that's, I think, the first good step. And then I can recommend, I do it myself and I have done it for years. Every Friday morning, I have half an hour plus reserved half an hour after for reflection. How did the past week go? Talk about what went well, what could have been better, is there something I should
mm,
focus on for the next week? So get into
mm,
the habit of reflection.
mm.
That's, I think, a
Interesting,
good
interesting.
starting
And
point.
so I think it's listen more and talk less, and then start reflecting. To beginning of a journey.
Yeah,
Thank you, Henning. Thank you so much for your time today, and it was really a learning experience and a conversation with you. Thank you again.
thank you very much. Yeah,
Very
and thank you for
welcome.
having
Thank
me.
you, Henning.
It's been a great
By the
pleasure.
way, while we do continue recording here, we will, of course, there's a lot of editing that will happen on this one. We'll see what got recorded, if at all something did not get recorded or whatever. We may have to contact you back. Uh, Unfortunately,
Yeah,
I'm not too sure what happened in the recording, if it is all recorded or it's got broken in between. But yes, we will have to catch up maybe just in case we need some work, post production work support with you. Mm, mm,
yeah.
mm.
That's of course all good. What I noticed was when you froze or dropped out, I as soon as I
Okay.
realized that, I just stopped talking. So there shouldn't be
Mm.
any hard cuts. So it should be easy to edit. So once you
Uh-huh.
froze, I didn't mention that you froze. I waited 10, 15 seconds.
Okay, so it's
So
only the
so
pauses.
So it should
Should be
be an
an
easy
easy to
edit.
resist. And also, we would also like to invite you on our sister company of International Mentoring Center, which is focused completely on mentoring,
Yeah.
and your knowledge about mentoring, I think, is very relevant to what we do. It's a body of accreditation for mentors and credentials for mentor. Yeah, so we do some mentoring,
Okay.
credentialing for
Yeah.
mentor trainings, and for mentors we do accreditation. Will that be okay if I have my team contact you there, Henning,
Okay. Yeah.
for seeing what are our possible opportunities of collaboration there? Hmm? Hmm. Great,
Yeah. Absolutely.
great.
It's really great talking to you, Harris. It's I know you are an MCC, so you have a
Mm.
broad experience within the coaching, but I guess you have also
I do,
been
yeah,
doing a lot of
yeah.
mentoring over the
And I
years.
think
Yeah.
majority
So
of people do need mentoring than coaching. Coaching is, I think, is for niche, who has it all, just needs untapping and unblocking. But those who need support, they need support,
yeah,
right? There are different type of people.
and I've experienced that when I coach executives, then most of them
Mm.
actually expect me to take
Mm.
active
Mm.
part in the problem solving, which is not
No, no.
what the
I was
ICF
talking to David
training
Drake. I think you would know
dictates.
David, right?
No.
And David says
Yeah.
ICF has created an artificial boundary between coaching and therapy. So that's how I
Yeah.
think it was an interesting statement. So Henning, we would love to partner you for mentoring as well
Yeah.
on that, and I'll have my team member contacting you very soon for that. Yeah. Thank you for your time
That
today, Henning. Again,
sounds great.
looking
So
forward to catching up. Welcome.
yes, and
Thank
thank
you.
you, Harris, and good luck with everything. And you just ping me, and
Yeah,
then
we'll
if
do
we
that.
need to
Thank you.
re-record something, we'll fix it.
Thank you, Henning. You too. Bye.
Thank you. Have a great day. Bye bye.